So does anyone remember Freckle Juice? Like the book Freckle Juice? It does anyone? Because I was thinking yesterday, I was on the phone with one of my friends, and we'd been in the same elementary class together. That's how far back we go. And I had just remembered something, like a flash just popped into my memory. And I was like, dude, do you remember Freckle Juice? And he was like, yeah, I do. And, I looked it up on YouTube because it was an absolute train wreck of a book. And no one's really talked about how insane that book is. So I'm gonna do it. Now, just to illustrate how insane this book is, this is the literal plot of the book listed on Wikipedia. Andrew Marcus envies his classmate Nikki Lane for his freckles, which, by the way, there is a whole article for freckles. His classmate Sharon sells Andrew a handwritten recipe for freckle juice that, when drank, will cause freckles to sprout, claiming it had created the few freckles on her nose. I do remember, this book is so old. I do remember when we read it, I remember that I knew it was old just by reading it from the beginning, because it said, like, she charged him 50 cents for the freckle juice recipe, and he was like, that's 5 weeks of allowance. And, nowadays, 10 cents of allowance will get you, like, nowhere. 10 cents a week, that's nothing. That is hardly, no. Andrew returns home and, following the recipe, creates the freckle juice from mixing grape juice and other condiments. This is what the cover looks like, by the way. This is horrendous. What can we see here? Alright. Is it ketchup, right? You got grape juice plus ketchup, mayo, olives, salt, mustard, vinegar, and little lemon? Can we just say how stupid Andrew Marcus has to be to think this is a thing? Sir, you're mixing all of the wet ingredients from your fridge into a cup and think it's just gonna sprout freckles on your face. I'm glad Sharon swindled you. You need to learn this lesson. Andrew reluctantly drinks the finished, putrid-tasting concoction and becomes sick. I bet it tasted putrid. I bet it did. What is this? There's no way it didn't look putrid, too. Like, have you ever put ketchup in water or something? It just floats and starts dissolving, and it's disgusting. When his mother returns home to find both Andrew sick and evidence of the freckle juice, she reprimands him and sends him to bed with medicine. I would reprimand him too. I would be like, son, we sent you to school so that you could learn. Not so that some girl, who, by the way, is not even older than you and holds no authority over you, would give you this recipe to give you freckles and get food poisoning over it. Give him some Robitussin and Pepto-Bismol. That night, this is the craziest part of the book. I vaguely remember it. There was artwork for it in the book. And it was like a monster holding him by his foot. With like, he had a face, and they're like the other classmates were just like laughing at him. Andrew has a nightmare about a monster resembling Sharon who force feeds Andrew gallons of freckle juice and gets the freckles rather than Andrew. This book is so stupid. Andrew stays home from school the next day and recovers the day after. Let me remind you that this book takes place over 3 separate days. The day he reads about and drinks the juice, I think. The day he stays home from school and the day after. This book is 3 days long. Realizing that Sharon had swindled him, did you not realize it the second you finished that liquid and felt no freckles sprout about your cheeks? Andrew dots his face with a blue magic marker. By the way, there's an article for magic markers, too. Unable to find a brown one, to prove the freckle juice had worked before arriving at school. Who were you trying to prove it to? Sharon knew it wasn't gonna work. No one is fooled by his drawn-on freckles and laughs at him. You deserve to be laughed at, you blonde, ugly troglodyte. You blonde, ugly, freckleless troglodyte. An ugly-ass sweater. After recess, his teacher, Miss Kelly, sent him to the restroom with her own secret formula for removing freckles, which is a bar of lemon-scented soap. They specifically talked about that it was lemon-scented. Like, it was very important in the book that it was lemon-scented. Andrew washes his freckles off and returns to class, where Miss Kelly tells him that he is a very handsome boy without freckles. No, he's not. Nikki then asks Miss Kelly for the freckle remover, claiming that he hates freckles, but she tells them that they did not look right on Andrew, but he looks wonderful with them. The story ends with Sharon trying to sell Nikki a recipe that removes freckles. Alright, what can we gather from this book? Andrew is a dumbass, and Sharon, we might think Sharon's evil, but Sharon is the secret hero of this book. Because I think in the end she made Andrew slightly less stupid. She planted this in his head. Maybe don't trust people's recipes for, things that come on your body. Maybe don't trust people's recipes for that. And, he was in 2nd grade in this book. Let's just say he's 7. He was born in 1964. That would make him 62 now. Maybe he is reading about the fake weight loss medications that people are selling, and he remembers Sharon from 2nd grade who swindled him with freckle juice. And he's like, I see the trick here. I will not buy your GLP-1s. He's the secret hero. And also, you gotta respect the hustle, man. I'm guessing dimes meant a lot more in 1971. I was not nearly around during 1971, but I'm guessing they did. So, you gotta respect the damn hustle. She made 5 weeks of allowance by getting, Andrew to drink this unholy mixture. What does the what does the analysis say? Freckle juice teaches readers to be happy with themselves instead of wanting what others have. The book also introduces children the concept of business fraud and the social cost it incurs. See, that's what I said. Ah, crap. Yeah, see? The book is dated by the amount of money it describes. Andrew has a weekly allowance, by the way, there's an article for allowance, of 10 cents, and the freckle juice cost him 50 cents. I remember there was okay, I gotta find the PDF, I can't get it out of my head now. The internet's great. Alright, let's find it. Now, there's photos. We're really that obsessed. Okay, counter thought. Was Andrew gay? Hold on. Andrew in drag is from Nikki's perspective. Okay, is Andrew gay? Are Andrew and Nikki gay for each other? Did it start all the way back in 2nd grade when he was counting his freckles and he counted 10 and he counted 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50, 55, 60, 65, 70, 75, 80, 85, 86. You really counted 86 freckles. There are better things you could have been doing. You couldn't stand that Sharon. She thought she knew everything. I love the proportions in old books like this. Okay, I don't even know what's going on here. There's a guy with a worm. These two girls have rolling backpacks. I had a rolling backpack. Um, I know that people always hate on the rolling backpacks, but it was the best year of my life. I almost got my head stuck in between these two bars once. Seriously, yes. It was it was a dare. It was a dare. Tense. Okay, so it was 4 days, I think. Andrew didn't like the idea of paying Sharon anything, and 50 cents was a lot of money. It was 5 whole weeks of allowance. But he decided that if Sharon's recipe didn't work, he'd ask for his money back. It was that easy. No. Sir, what? You think she'll just give it back? Refunds? No. What? Dude, there's no way. Are you this gullible? Sharon's doing you a favor, Andrew. Creation. Okay, this book was 2 books after Are You There, God? It's Me, Margaret, which, by the way, is like the second best coming of age book I've ever read, right behind Anne Frank's Diary. It's a really good book. And then 2 books later, she makes freckle juice. Unlike most of her books where she decided on the title last, Bloom started with the title of Freckle Juice and wrote the story based on it. She got the title of Freckle Juice from her daughter, who as a child mixed powder, shampoo, and soap in the bathtub to create what she called Freckle Juice. Honestly, I would have rather him drank powder, shampoo, and soap from the bathtub than all of this. Bloom ensured that Freckle Juice reflected Jesus Christ, Kitty. Reflected both positive and negative aspects of being a child rather than a purely happy story. That is true. But I feel like this is something that cannot really be reflected into adulthood. This hardly has anything to do with being an adult. There's business fraud, but also it's to do with freckle juice. Illustrations by Sonia Olisker, 2nd grade student. This is literally it is about a 2nd-grade student who wants to have freckles. That is it. I remember the day we started reading that book. I finished it. We were young. I was 8 or 9 when we read this book, geez. And, the teachers would always do that thing they were like, just read along with the class. And I always hated it. Especially because we usually had to do that take turns for reading thing, and I didn't like following other people's voices. So, the first day we got the book, I just finished the entire book. So I didn't have to read it any other day, which honestly was a huge help to myself, because it is a horrible book. Honestly, I feel bad. Judy Blume's a great writer. I think we all love Judy Blume in our childhood memories. And as I've said with, Are You There, God? It's Me, Margaret, she's written some real banger books. But this is not one of them. This is really not one of them. Why are his cheeks so rosy? Are you having problems with your circulatory system, child? Last thing I want to bring up. There is a film for it. They made a film for this book. If this video gets 500 views, I'll react to this film. Thanks to Snick Arcade for restoring it. This lovely freak of nature monstrosity. Wow. Where would we be without freckle juice?